Once again, the Pacers are up late. Once again, they fall in the final seconds. Jalen Brunson with a three with 4.4 seconds to go, but it was really the late game offense and pockets of offense that did the Pacers in this one. We'll talk about it all today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Congrats, you made it through the weekend. Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin. And today, tough one for the Pacers, who were ahead for basically the whole game. Gave it away in the fourth, got it back. Pascal Siakam was awesome. And then in the end, 4 seconds to go, Jalen Brunson, one of the best clutch players in the league, if not the best, gets his space, gets his shot, hits a three. Pacers fall by one at the horn. It was one play. They had a chance and tripped on their own chance, but it was really the last 6 minutes of offense that did the Pacers in, on top of some stretches of the game where they failed to extend the lead or manage a Knicks run. A lot that they could have done better in a game that a lot went well. Nembhard was awesome. A new starting five popped up that looked interesting. The rotation in general, I think, made just good sense given where the Pacers are going. So a ton to discuss from this game. Of course, when it's decided how it was, the end is the place to start. And I tell you, I put in my notes before the game ended that the basketball gods decided this game at a particular moment. I can't remember which of them they were, but Andrew Nembhard was taking some shots down the stretch. So the Pacers get to 109 points with 5 minutes and 44 seconds to go in this game. They're up by 7 at that time. They're struggling to score a bit. I believe... So to be clear, Andrew Nembhard hit the Pacers' only shot in the final 5 minutes and 44 seconds, but he also missed quite a few. With, I believe, 50 seconds to go, Andrew Nembhard made a move that not quite dropped, but gave him a ton of space against Jalen Brunson for a right-wing jumper that was just a gorgeous, gorgeous dribble move. Brunson did all he could to stay with him, but it was a gorgeous move, and it didn't go in. And on the night that Nembhard had, that would have given him his career high and put the Pacers up 2 in the final minute. The basketball gods not putting that shot in made me realize, okay, the Pacers are going to lose. And their offense died in the end of the game, and that play was the summary of it. A lot of good stuff to get a shot that they're okay with, they're comfortable with in crunch time, and they missed. And that was crunch time for them. Again, 5 minutes, 44 seconds to go. Quentin Jackson hits a corner three. Huge basket. Huge basket to put the Pacers up 7. They have all the momentum. They just got threes from Jackson, Nembhard, and Siakam to get their lead back after giving it away. And here come the next Pacers possessions. Ben Mathurin gets a steal, and he misses an 8-foot floater. Isaiah Jackson gets a rebound, misses a putback right at the basket that would have put the Pacers up by 8. Pacers' next possession, Pascal Siakam misses a 14-foot turnaround that he's made a million times. OG Anunoby hits a 3. Andrew Nembhard misses a mid-range shot that he'd been hitting all night. He had 31. He was terrific. Jalen Brunson scores. It's a 1-point game. Andrew Nembhard answers. The Pacers only make in the last 5 minutes and 44 seconds a Brunson miss, followed by a Siakam miss at the basket. He thought he got fouled, followed by a Nembhard miss close to the basket. And Anunoby hits a 3 to tie it. Nembhard gets blocked at the rim. Nembhard misses the shot I just said. And they haven't made a shot. They've only made one shot in over 5 minutes. Thankfully, they were up enough that they were still ahead or tied. And then Siakam drew a foul, made 2 free throws with 17 seconds to go. It looked like they had it. That brings us to crunch time, where Jalen Brunson, after the Pacers used their foul to give to prevent him from going left, the Knicks reset with a timeout. Brunson going to the right wing, pretends to drive, steps back, gorgeous 3 over Andrew Nembhard to give the Knicks the lead. 4.4 seconds to go on the clock. So the fact that happened, obviously one play, it's a heroic play. I don't really blame anyone for not defending Jalen Brunson on that specific play. That made it 114-113. The Pacers are up 109-102 with 5:44 to go, right? So for 5 minutes and 40 seconds, it was 12-4. 12 points in 5 minutes isn't like insurmountably bad or anything. The Pacers did okay, but they couldn't score. They could not score. They made 1 shot and 2 free throws in 6 minutes of play. And their best players, I mean, you heard all the shots. Most of them were Mathurin or Nembhard. Many of them were Nembhard or Isaiah Jackson or Pascal Siakam right at the basket. Like a lot of shots that were from players or spots that are generally considered good ends of possessions, but it wasn't the same kind of stuff. Now, granted, crunch time does change stuff, especially when you're ahead. Your whole goal is to not turn it over. You're not going to pass as much or run as much offense, but they just weren't playing quite the same way with quite enough zip and pop to get the good shots they've been getting all night. And the players that can make the shots they took didn't make them, right? So that left the Pacers down by 1 with 4 seconds to go. They bring in they bring in Isaiah Jackson. They bring in Garrison Matthews. They bring in Jay Huff. Pretty obvious that they were going for more spacing there. And Pascal Siakam is going to pop out on a down screen from Andrew Nembhard and try to go make a move and shoot at the buzzer to win it like he did against the Bulls. And instead, he's coming out and he trips over Andrew Nembhard, just a little stumble. And Jay Huff, the inbounder, people had questions about this. And like, I do understand that he's not one of the best passers on the team. So it is a little perplexing that he's inbounding, but like, that's not why it didn't matter, because Siakam tripped, slipped, stumbled, whatever, right as Jay Huff throws it to him. He would have easily just curled to the ball and caught it, made an easy steal for OG Anunoby, and the clock runs out. A terrible last possession for the Pacers because of that exact moment. They didn't execute it right. Rick Carlisle put that on him, and the Pacers lose. The tough ending that will be reduced to 2 possessions, one of Brunson heroics and one of Pacers non-heroics. But really, it was 6 minutes of just inept offense from a team that actually had a pretty offensive night for much of the game. The Pacers shot 46%. They were hot from 3 early. They kept their turnover number reasonable. They got to the line enough and made a lot of them. They did a lot of good things, but they did none of them late. And they were over-reliant a little on Nembhard, who had 31 points on 12 for 19. He was great. They were not playing quite the right way, and it cost them. It really cost them because they had 2 16-point leads in this game. One in the first quarter, they were awesome to start the game, and one in the third quarter, which we'll get to why it may be somewhat encouraging, the fact that the same starting group did that twice. But they gave it away both times. They were up like 2 or 1. Later in the first half, they were literally losing, obviously, by the end of the game. So a lot went wrong. And that's some of my other notes on how the Pacers gave this one away beyond the end of the game is the starters were good, clearly. We'll talk about their specifics later. Quentin Jackson starting for Ethan Thompson. But as soon as subs were made, or they lost it. And the bench was going to get zone a lot. That didn't go very well. And I think the other thing that did the Pacers in a little bit in this game is the center rotation got all jammed up in a weird way. Jay Huff missed all 5 of his threes. He had 10 rebounds. So did Isaiah Jackson. They did okay on the glass. Jay Huff wasn't making threes, and the Knicks were just destroying him on defense. They were pulling him up high into ball screen actions and running the same stack play or Spain or whatever term you've heard for a screen-the-screener thing on the big. And he'd get swallowed up. He can't recover. He's not quick enough. And the guys switching below him, Garrison Matthews messed it up once. Ben Mathurin messed it up once. Just could not stop the ball handler or roller going right towards the basket, right? So they didn't want to play Huff. He's not quick enough to consistently compete in that. So they go to Isaiah Jackson, and he doesn't have as much range. He's not guarded the same way. He had 3 fouls. Like, it was tough. And Tony Bradley, who had 3 rebounds in 3.5 minutes in the first half, granted he missed some putbacks, like, could have been effective, but he hurt his thumb and couldn't play. Like, that was actually a significant mattered for the result injury to me, that they didn't have Tony Bradley as an option. His rebounding could have been huge. Late in the second quarter, he was getting a ton of them, and the glass was a problem for a lot of the night. So that was really tough. Some other tough things for the Pacers in this game was that zone. I mean, people asked about this. For example, like the lineup that the first zone I noticed, I'm sure it started before this, but my eyes saw it when the Pacers had on the floor McConnell, Mathurin, Furphy, Siakam, Jackson. So the best shooter of that group is Ben Mathurin, right? And that's not enough shooting. And so teams will go zone against that. We saw that with the Pacers last year. Very often when McConnell was on the floor, they have zone-busting plays. Like in the second half, the Knicks went zone, Ben Mathurin pops to the elbow, turns, shoots, and scores. Like, that's typical zone stuff. It's not like they don't know what they're doing. It's just you see it more. It forces you to stop and think for a beat. They struggled with it in both halves. They have to be better against these zone lineups. That was tough. Rebounding was tough at times. I already mentioned that with Bradley, right? That slowed the game down. That helped the Knicks get back in it in the second quarter. And that was one of Pascal Siakam's worst stretches of the game. And that also coincided with the other problem they had that the last 6 minutes exposed. When the Knicks would make these comebacks from, in the first half, they went from down 16 to down 1. It took a long time. It took from the middle of the first quarter to the middle of the second quarter. And in the second half, it was a little faster, but they did it slowly because the Pacers offense really struggled. Some of that was zone. Some of that was, the bench in general was just not very good. Pacers started 3 for 5 from deep, then missed 11 in a row, right? So it was kind of a seesaw game for a lot of these reasons, but their offense kept dying. Their rebounding wasn't quite good enough. They could not break down these zones. There were a lot of reasons they were struggling to score for much of this game. And if Nembhard or Siakam was not on the floor, they really, really struggled. Mathurin counts in that group too. But they didn't score enough. They couldn't score enough in the last 6 minutes of the game. Brunson was heroic, and the Pacers were the opposite of heroic. That is now the third time in the last 5 seconds of a game between Brandon Ingram, Giannis, and Brunson that they've lost at the horn. If you want to count many heroic plays from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in double overtime and Aaron Nesmith missing at the buzzer in Dallas, I mean, they're like one possession away from several more wins. Now, that's obviously very rosy way of looking at things because Pascal Siakam literally has a buzzer beater this season. If that goes the other way, they would have another loss, right? It's not, you can't just flip all the good things and not the bad things, but like they've had a lot of these close games and a lot. The majority of them have not gone their way. This was another one for many painful reasons. And yet, very encouraging bounce back from Nembhard after a crummy game against the Wizards. This new starting lineup was cool, and many more notes to get to from Pacers Knicks, all coming up here on Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, I got to tell you about two great groups of people. First up is DoorDash. The season's heating up. DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through, whether you're watching highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player. DoorDash makes the whole entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. DoorDash can become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert now. Those late-night interviews hit. Suddenly, you need chips at midnight. DoorDash is built for that. If the group chat says pull up, DoorDash makes sure you're prepared with snacks, cups, a phone charger for their friend who's always at 2% from tip-off to overtime. Stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, dinner, gear, whatever gets you through the season delivered right to your door. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Let me also talk to you guys about Rocket Money. Ever feel like your money just disappears each month? That happens fast. A few subscriptions here and impulse buys there. Suddenly the numbers in your bank account do not match the numbers in your head. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances because managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. So many things about Rocket Money that people love, like that or ability to find subscriptions and help you clean them up. You can see your spending habits easily on one dashboard. They build budgets for you based on your past spending. They have bill alerts, spending notifications. You can catch small things before they turn into big expenses. And the app, of course, will find good times to save money each month. So take control of your finances. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockdown today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockdown. rocketmoney.com/lockdown. We are back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Your second listen, Locked On Knicks. Gavin Shaw will be on the other side of this. Love Gavin. Talk with him all the time from the many Pacers-Knicks meetings of recent times. He'll talk about this game and the Knicks post-NBA Cup titledom. And I'm calling out the Knicks. No banner is super lame. I already said this yesterday. I'm doing it again. If you're going to hang banners for division crowns, James Edwards tweeted this. I thought it was so correct. So that means you're one of the best of 5 teams. You definitely should hang a banner for an NBA Cup crown. Weird choice to me from the Knicks organization. I wonder how the players truly feel about it. Anyways, also, the Everydayer Club exists. If you would like ad-free episodes of Locked On Pacers, check that out. Or the exclusive Discord you can be a part of. Okay, back to the game. Other stuff that happened that was important. 1, Quinn Jackson starting. He mentioned this, and I mentioned this yesterday if you listened to the week of practice notes from the Pacers Cup time off, that Quentin Jackson noted on Wednesday's practice that he did some work with the starters, and the Pacers tweeted a photo of some of the guys in the white jerseys together, and it had Nembhard, Siakam, I think, or Nembhard and Jackson and Quentin Jackson in it, Isaiah Jackson being the other Jackson, all together. So I thought, oh, he actually was with the starters today. Is that going to be what they're really doing? And then they announced the starters, and the NBA.com starters had Ethan Thompson. Okay, he's starting again. Just kidding. It was Quentin Jackson, the okie doke. They switched it up, and I think that's totally the right move. No offense at all to Ethan Thompson, although we will talk about him. He barely played in this game. I mean, Quentin Jackson is just so much more dynamic, and I get that whoever this player is, maybe you could say this is Huff, but whoever the player starting in this spot that's with on the perimeter with Nembhard, Siakam, and Mathurin, right? They're going to be the 4th or 5th option. So what do they need to do? They need to fill some gaps. They need to be a pressure valve kind of guy. If they're left open, they need to be able to take space and kind of guard. And Thompson was guarding at least pretty well for a guy who'd never played in the NBA before and did make shots to start his time, but he didn't really take space. Like here's the problem with Ethan Thompson. He barely played in this game, and I still have this note about him. Nobody guards him, right? He is just completely wide open all the time. That hurt your spacing a bit. He did punish that defense. He made shots. I'm not trying to make this some huge negative about him. But you can just tell the difference between what he does when he's not guarded and what Quentin Jackson can do and does do when he is not guarded. And that really, really helped transform things for the starting five in this game. I thought that was a good choice. And Kyle Taylor and I just talked about, rotational choices we would make. Quentin Jackson playing 27 minutes, Thompson playing 3.5, Furphy probably should play a little more than 6 minutes, but Jarris Walker at 16, Garrison Matthews a little under 8. That makes way more sense to me. That makes a lot more rotational balance sense. So first of all, I think all these choices are smart by the Pacers, and it clearly worked. Quentin Jackson was good in this game. 3 for 7 from the field's a little light, but 4 boards, 2 assists, plus 14 in his minutes. So I think that is something that they should continue to do. And even in a game where Huff struggled, and I will talk about him when we get to the notebook, the actual raw starters in this game of Siakam, Nembhard, Huff, Mathurin, Quentin Jackson played 10 minutes and 9 seconds and were plus 13 together. That's how the Pacers opened up this huge lead, 16-point lead early in the game. And then again in the third quarter, they were up 16 quite quickly. A couple other groups were Jackson, Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, Nembhard, Siakam. So the starters with Jackson was also plus 2, right? Clearly, Quentin Jackson had a positive impact with lots of groups. And then Jarrison for Pascal, which happened a lot as the first sub in both halves. That was the third most possessions group. That group was plus 4. Basically, every other group stunk in this game for the Pacers, but I think that this starting lineup change and this rotational shift was good. Quentin Jackson had a nice finish in the crowd. He was just dynamic in good ways. And late in the game, he had a possession against Jalen Brunson inside the final minute, and he shut him down twice and then dove for a loose ball in the next play to get the Pacers the ball, which Siakam got fouled on. But then, of course, Brunson bested the Pacers on the next play. He gets the last laugh. He was the best player in this game. But a lot of credit to Quentin Jackson for the way he played and what he can do. And I think that this, of their currently healthy players, to me, unless it's going to be like an obvious young guy play where it's Jarris or Furphy, should probably be their starting 5 for the foreseeable future. This makes the most sense to me, and I think that's good. Some other good stuff the Pacers did in this game before we talk about some not as good stuff in the notebook at the end. The defense was really good for like pretty good stretches of this game. Some of that was that starting group that I talked about that allowed 13 points on 20 defensive possessions. That's excellent. That same group with Jackson and for Isaiah Jackson and for Huff allowed 17 points on 16 possessions. That is excellent, right? They got a lot of good defensive moments in this game. There was one like kind of layup. You've seen Mikal Bridges take layups because the Pacers played the Knicks in the playoffs last year where he's kind of fading away from the basket. But Mikal Bridges took his version of a layup at one point, and the Pacers had 3 defenders just right around him ready to stop it. Like they were really active on defense. They still had their breakdowns. They're not a good defensive team, but that's their better end of the floor. That was pretty good. 9 possessions in a row they scored in the first quarter. Like things were clearly clicking for the Pacers at times in this game. And that's not, the most confident thing for them to say. They lost the game against a very banged up Knicks team. They're of course also banged up, to be clear, but they had a lot, like 9 possessions in a row. That's like unheard of for what they just did against the Wizards. They were much better in this game in that way. To me, what I noticed that looked really good, when they would drive and take space and then the defense would rotate, they nailed the timing of their cuts from the weak side for somebody to be an option for passes in the paint or for putbacks or whatever. I thought that was very effective. Ben Mather and Jarris Walker had a couple noticeably strong plays with the defender occupied on the weak side, or they were on the weak side and they came in and did things. And it was a really good start right after Rick Carlisle called it a first quarter league. Unfortunately for the Pacers, that did not click into this game. That happened again in the third quarter. Something else the Pacers did well in this game when Jalen Brunson was very good, to be clear. They made him a target a lot. He was defending the action a lot. His man was always, a the screener guy. He was close to play, whatever. Look, he was the hero in the end, but he was minus 16 for a reason. The Pacers found a way to make it tough for him to do everything that he wanted to do and be valuable on defense. Now the Knicks found other solid lineups, particularly with Tyler Kolek, who we'll talk about in the third segment, but they did a really, really good job targeting Brunson, making it hard for him. And the rotation just all felt way, way, way better. So there was a lot of good stuff for the Pacers in this game. I have another note that just says, are these the same Mather and Nembhard guys I saw 3 days ago? And that's where I would close this before some not as fun notes is beyond Siakam 7 points in 53 seconds, which were very good. And he was excellent, by the way. Pascal Siakam, 26 points again. I thought that, given that Mathurin's play of late was a topic, and Kyle Taylor and I did that before Ben revealed that he had a toe injury, and Nembhard stunk against the Wizards, starting 0 for 11. They both were much better in this game. Mathurin was comfier, I thought, getting to his shots. He was 2 for 9 from deep. That's 7 misses. He missed 11 shots in the game. He was 5 for 9 on his twos. He was good inside the arc. To have 16 points without free throws is good for him. He was a little, certainly inefficient, shooting under 40%, but offsets that with 8 boards, 2 assists, and 2 steals. He was +9. I thought he played a nice game. And then, of course, Nembhard was just terrific. 31 points. He was on fire for so much of this game. He made 3 of his 4 threes, 4 assists. He wants to clean up those 4 fouls and 2 turnovers, but he was making everything. He was hard to guard for the Knicks. He wiggled the spots. He was the guy that they chose correctly to rely on in clutch time, I thought, given the game he was having. He did not actually score, but this is always how it goes with results-based people. If he didn't take the shots late, everybody would have said, well, why did the Pacers go away from him? He scored a bunch. And if he does take them late and he misses, everybody will say, well, why did he take all those shots? He wasn't making them. Because he had a great game. It should have been him, and it just didn't work out. And they still almost had it work out. So really fantastic from those 3 guys again. Siakam, I think if the Pacers had won this game, his stretch of 7 points in 53 seconds would have been maybe my lead of how the Pacers got this done, because they fell behind, they brought him in, and he immediately put them back ahead. Like, that's what he's done all season. Unfortunately, that was not the key stretch of the game. The final 2 possessions were. Okay, some not as fun things coming in the notebook in the third segment today. Tyler Kolek, Jay Huff, Jarris Walker, and so much more to close out Pacers Knicks on today's Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, I need to tell you about Gusto. Let's be real. Nobody starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in, to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. They have automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposits that can save you hours every week. And knowing you can reach certified HR experts anytime gives you real peace of mind. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. Get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time, that's Gusto, GUSTO.com/LockedOnNBA. Back here, closing out Pacers Knicks on today's Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day, your second listen. Some great NBA games tonight. I'm recording this one very late because I watched the dramatic ending of Kings Blazers. Bogus foul call at the end of that game. Locked On Kings, Matt George, I'm sure, will not be happy about that. Locked On Blazers, Mike Richmond, the pass first point guard. We'll have more on the Denny Avdia clutch free throws. And also in overtime, the Pelicans, the Pacers' next opponent, beat the Rockets. Good for the Pels. Jake Madison will have more on that, and you can hear about the Pacers' next opponent, the Pelicans. We'll be talking after that game for a podcast Saturday night as Rick Carlisle continues to chase win number 1,000. Okay, let's wrap up Pacers Knicks. Couple things that were not as fun that stood out to me from this game. I have to talk about Jay Huff, right? Because I do think he on balance has been the Pacers' best center. He's proven to fit well with their style. His defense has been mostly good. In today's game, he had 10 rebounds. That was good. He was good on the glass. So was Isaiah Jackson. They had 20 of the Pacers. I almost said the wrong number. They had 20 of the Pacers, 52 rebounds. That's great. So Huff did some stuff on the glass, but not enough. Hug Porty got some rebounds that were not, he shouldn't have. Diawara did too. Trey Jameson filled in for 5 boards. They got some 2 easy ones. I'm not going to kill him for the boards. What I'm going to kill him for is he made 2 of his two-point shots and all his free throws, but he missed all 5 of his threes. They need him to make those, right? He's open for a reason. Teams are not that afraid of him on these pick and pops. They'd rather stop whatever Pacers ball handler he's opening up for. He's got to punish them. What he did punish them on early was his token once a game. I need a name for this, right? Thomas Bryant had his FU rebound last year that just happened once a game, and I just loved it. Jay Huff right now has this thing where once a game he'll fake a shot and his defender will freak out and jump to the moon. And JF will put it on the floor for this drive that is like slow motion, and it takes like 5 seconds. But he gets to the basket, and he scores or gets fouled every time. It's very effective. That was very early in the game. He had 2 of those makes in this game. That was all okay. And his defense was so rough in this game. 2 or 3 times where he's getting dragged up for the same play, and it's because of his speed that the opponent is running this. In this case, it would be he's defending a pick and roll, and then they would put either 2 on Brunson or the ball handler or whatever. So Huff's job is to get to that player and then recover to his man at some point, or a weak side player could rotate down or whatever. But instead of allowing that, the Knicks would then have a third player come in, stack spin, whatever you call it, and screen Huff. And so someone else, whoever's guarding that screener, has to switch to the big or slide to stop the ball handler, and everybody has to just work well together. And this is and a couple like Garrison Matthews got beat really bad on this. Like Mikal Bridges came up to set the screen one time and just ran to the basket and scored. Ben Mathurin didn't rotate off of a driver one time, led to an easy basket. But like Huff got killed in that action in this game, and his speed is really tough when he's dragged that far from the basket. And I didn't even realize this. I had in separate quarters of the game notes about his defense that have yikes with an exclamation point in there because it was not very good. And so Isaiah Jackson played better than him. I think he earned the more minutes that he got. He was 2 for 3 from the field. But Isaiah Jackson had a couple not good plays either. He had a way too hard flagrant foul. He had some not great defensive moments himself, but he was much better, and they couldn't take him off the floor because he was better, even though he wasn't having that good of a game. They really could have used Tony Bradley, but I think Huff's struggles were why, even with Jackson playing a meh game, he was their best center, and they left him on the floor, and they did not want to go back to that switch at center because it was just not working for them. Tyler Kolek, man, just killed the Pacers in this game. I thought he swung the game. He was huge in many moments and gave the Knicks another ball handler and more pop than they like. If you remember these series last year, sure, Jordan Clarkson hitting threes was something kind of different from guards, but I thought the Kolek factor, a guy who could wiggle into space, find his teammates, be this little crafty lefty that was hard to stay in front of. He made everything. He had 16 points on 7 for 10 from the field and had 11 assists. He was a difficult matchup for the Pacers in this game. And when he was on the floor, specifically with Brunson, I thought things looked way better for the Knicks. One of their best lineups in this game actually did not have Brunson, but just had Kolek. It was Kolek, Clarkson, Bridges, Anunoby, and Huck-Porty. They were +8. That was their second most possessions lineup in this game. Like, that was really important that they found that. They also rocked a Kolek, Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, Huck-Porty group for a long time. I think that was their third or second most used group. So, no, I just said what their second most was. That was their third most used group. So they clearly figured out something with him, and the Pacers struggled with that. And so in a game where Nembhard is tasked to do everything, he's guarding Brunson and scoring 31 points. Sometimes Quentin Jackson could take that assignment, but then when Kolek was on the floor, there were 2 difficult guys to deal with. It just became a lot for the Pacers to handle. Credit to Kolek. He was awesome in the Cup final game as well. Jarris Walker, man, like, some of the same stuff every game, and I know I'm a metronome saying it. He was 2 for 4. He made a 3. He wasn't like all bad in this game, to be clear. He did some good things. He had 3 rebounds, but his one token, what the heck was that turnover? Soaring it over the head of, I can't remember which big. I think it was Isaiah Jackson for a rough pass, and then 2 shots in a row he took. I want to say in the third quarter. Yeah, the Pacers were coming towards me. So in the third quarter, he missed both that were just way too tough and like unnecessary. One was late in the shot clock, but he had the ball for a few seconds before he realized he needed to be the one to take it. Like, if he had kept it moving or gotten to something else earlier, that would have looked better. He wasn't so bad, but it continues to go in my notes when it's like the same kind of stuff over and over. And the bench just generally was not very good. Like, they all made their first shot of the game. I think the bench only missed in the first quarter was the last shot of the quarter. But in the end, they just did not feel effective as a unit, with Walker having some goofy moments. Matthews' defense wasn't good. TJ McConnell played pretty well, but you didn't feel him as much. He only had six shot attempts in this game. The Knicks were better at neutralizing him against that zone. And we already talked about Jarris and Isaiah Jackson. Like, Furphy barely did much of note. Like, the bench didn't give them a whole lot in this game. They relied on their starters a ton, 37+ minutes for Nembhard, Siakam, and Mathurin. That's probably too many for the season. They really chased the win, and they didn't get it. They did not get it. So we'll see how those minutes settle, but the bench wasn't good enough to really shake it up. The last note, tough time to lose their challenge for the Pacers. They didn't have any other plays that I would have challenged, to be clear, but early in the game, Brunson gets chair pulled by Nembhard, who kind of reached and touched him on the side, and they called the foul. And I didn't think it was okay. Here's what I thought. He clearly did reach in, but okay, that's fine if you want to call that, but that's not a shooting foul. They upheld the foul and kept that as a shooting foul. I think that was very frustrating for Nembhard and the Pacers. Clearly, they were frustrated. They challenged a first quarter foul. That's usually not a smart thing to do, but they did it in this game. It did not work out for them. One of the many small little things that did not go their way. Like, every single point mattered. That sent Jalen Brunson to the foul line. So, lot in this game that the Pacers did better. I think some stuff they can build on rotationally. I think some problem solving happening at the 5. I think they're getting better play from important players, but still in a loss and a losing effort, they play another bad team, the Pelicans, on Saturday. Our next podcast will be after that game, Saturday night. Looking forward to that one. Thank you guys so much for listening today. You can find me on social media at Tony R. East and this podcast at Locked On Pacers. Tomorrow, off day, and then back Saturday, like I said, talking Pacers Pelicans. Till then, everybody have a wonderful day.